is the Revolutionary City?
Well, Lloyd, the Revolutionary City is a new approach to programming that we're undertaking this year with the idea of really trying to represent theater or history as theater and concentrate our living history program in the afternoons for a 2.5-hour period to really reveal Williamsburg's role in the American Revolution and the War for Independence, using actors to portray historical figures that we know were players in Williamsburg's revolutionary story.
Yeah, the history in Williamsburg is not exactly unknown, so you know who was here and when they were
Exactly, that's right, yeah.
So you do this, what, in the afternoon?
Yes, the program runs from 2:30 to 5.
The former British colony in America. We are the largest, we are the wealthiest, and we are the most populous, having presently 1/6 of the entire American population within our boundaries, and thus for those reasons bid for independence from the British Lion. The third resolution, and that one which I favored most, was penned by myself, your most humble and obedient servant, wherein I desired that we declare independence for Virginia and that we send explicit instructions to our delegates at the Congress to propose that motion of a united declaration before that noble and august body. I furthermore had as part of my resolve that they in the Congress be instructed to immediately secure
5 o'clock every day. We actually close off the east end of the historic area from Botetourt Street up past the Capitol so that we can use that entire environment for the actors to live out these scenes that represent Williamsburg in the Revolution.
Back in my youth, which was a long time ago, I've done a little acting, outdoor acting. Actors hate because you can't be heard.
Yes.
Have you got that solved somehow?
We're certainly working on solving it. We've determined that for the major scenes and the big events that we're going to represent, we're actually amplifying the actors. We're using microphones because of that very reason. We want to be able to reach an audience of a size up to as many as 2,000 people for these big scenes. And amplification is the only way we're going to accomplish that.
Yeah, I know in the old days, I'm talking about revolutionary days, some of the people I've interviewed, they were talking about people who could be heard by 5,000, 6,000 people, open air, just speaking. That secret's been lost a long time ago.
Evidently, yes. We know people like the renowned preacher George Whitefield, supposedly on one occasion preached to a crowd of people in Philadelphia numbering over 30,000 people, unamplified, of course. But we find with all the varying conditions that we have to deal with outdoors, that for quality's sake, it's just safer and more effective to amplify the actors.
And it just occurred to me, why do you want to be outdoors? Couldn't you do it in the theater? Well,
in our situation, we want to be able to attract an audience up to as many as 2,000 people. And we just don't have that kind of indoor venue. And besides, and perhaps more importantly, we want people to be on the ground where these things actually happened. That's our principal motivation, I think, in staging it in the historic area. The Capitol building, for instance, is a
500 years later, I get to sit down. Now, there's kind of an interesting template, but also no real hard, real plain wheel. My foot keeps going. That has my hands free to make better yarn. It automatically feeds right on the bottom. Now, the only question I have is why didn't they invent this reel, R-E-E-L, also known
constructed building, but it's on the very same ground where things like the Virginia Declaration of Rights, the Virginia Constitution were actually constructed. So we feel like there's a lot of value to having people in those environments actually experiencing things where they happened.
Who do you hope to attract?
Everybody and anybody. One of the principal aims for the Revolutionary City is to bring folks to Williamsburg who maybe have never considered themselves interested in history before. And perhaps the appeal of living history, of having people actually portray the historical characters, will provoke them to want to come see what this is all about.
Okay, so here come these people. You've got them in the historic area, one end of it, and you've got historic characters who are doing things. Are you trying to involve them? Do you want the people?
Absolutely. That's one of the principal aims of this whole undertaking, is not just that they watch a theatrical production, but they actually project themselves into these historical events and stories. And one of the things that we've concerned ourselves most with in the training of the actors is how to actively engage and involve people into the stories. We want them to feel like they're participants in this. As a matter of fact, in the opening scenes each day, we indicate to them, for the next 2 hours, we want you to think of yourselves as citizens in Virginia in the 1770s and 80s. Come experience with us what it was like to live through these times in Williamsburg.
Well, you always have interpreters here, so they are probably more likely to interact with people than regular actors would. Well,
we very deliberately named the position that the actors now occupy, actor interpreters, for the purpose of communicating that they're not just actors in the sense of stage.
The ladle in you, 5 minutes as deep as you can get. So let's try it together. I'll fathom the boat. I'll fathom the boat. Here's me, the punch whale. I'll fathom the boat.
New York, perhaps Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I was most profoundly moved in the convention by the words of our eldest delegate, Colonel Richard Land, Prince George. He's now 6 and 60.
Listen, but they're also interpreters in the regard that part of their job is to relate these things both to people and to have them then engage back in the history that we're portraying.
I think that would probably take more courage than I've got. I don't mind acting where I can say lines and stop.
Well,
but if you have to engage